Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back. We're glad that you're joining us again this morning. As you know, we've been studying through 1 Samuel. We're skipping over chapter 27, not because it's not important, but it basically kind of details or outlines for us where David went from place to place. Chapter 28 is kind of the next story. So that's where we're going to be today. In chapter 28 of 1 Samuel, we find that, let's read verse 1. And it came to pass in those days that the Philistines gathered their armies together for warfare, to fight with Israel. And Achish said unto David, Know thou assuredly that thou shalt go out with me to battle, thou and thy men. David at this time is staying with Achish, the king, and he, not the king of the Philistines, but he's maybe an ally, we would say, to the Philistines. And David's staying there. He's found refuge in the city of Ziklag, which will come up in next week's lesson, actually. But David is staying there, and Achish says, all right, the Philistines are going to war. I'm going to join up with them, and we are going to go fight the Israelites. Well, boys and girls, isn't David an Israelite? But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time, okay? So basically what we're going to get to right now, though, is Saul is scared. Saul finds out the Philistines are coming after him. He doesn't know what to do. He's unsure. He's scared. He's nervous. And it seems like God isn't listening to him. God isn't giving answers. He doesn't know what to do. So he thinks, he scratches his head. He wonders, what should I do? He paces back and forth. He doesn't know what to do. It's like, wait a minute. There were these people before who could talk to the spirits, and I put all those people away. Okay, basically people who believed in, as we would say today, boys and girls, witchcraft. Okay, we're not going to get much into that, but he had essentially killed or punished all of those people who had believed that way. But now he's so desperate. He wants to go talk to one of those people to find out what he should do. Should he go to battle? Now, this is ironic because before Saul didn't really seek wisdom, and all of a sudden now he feels like he needs to. But he goes to one of those ladies. One of those ladies lives at Endor. Saul has to disguise himself. He can't go looking as king. He has to look like a common person. He goes to her and he basically says, I would like you to bring someone back from the dead. And she's like, you know Saul killed everybody who had that capability, right? You know Saul punished them. And Saul, although she doesn't know it's King Saul, says, oh, don't worry, you won't be punished. And she's like, she's still a little hesitant. Okay, if it were going to cost you your life, I'm not so sure you would help a stranger because, again, King Saul doesn't say who he is. He's trying to look like a common person. Well, he says, eventually, King Saul convinces her that she can bring back this person from the dead. And the person he asked to talk to, let's see, who should he ask to talk to? Who did we mention briefly in passing last week had passed away? Samuel. It says, bring Samuel back. So the lady does what she needs to do, and she gets scared. She screams. She's like, what? What are you doing? You're King Saul. She realizes when she goes to bring Samuel back from the dead that this is King Saul. And now she's afraid for her life. And he says, no, I need to talk to Samuel. What is it that you see? And she explains what she sees. Let's look at verse number 12. And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spake to Saul, saying, Why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. Verse 13, and the king said unto her, Be not afraid. For what sawest thou? Don't be afraid, but what did you see? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. Verse 14, and he said unto her, What form is he of? And she said, An old man cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel, and he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself. She brings Samuel back, boys and girls, not in physical form, but basically the spirit form, and she's able to see what he looks like, and she's scared. And Saul says, don't be scared. And then we get Samuel's response, verse 15. And Samuel said to Saul, Why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? He's like, what are you doing? Why did you bring me back? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and God is departed from me. Wow. What sad words, boys and girls. God, who has power over everything, has departed from Saul, and answereth me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have called thee, and that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do. It says, God's left me, and I don't know what to do. So I'm asking you, help, please. Verse 16, then said Samuel, wherefore then dost thou ask of me, seeing the Lord is departed from thee, and is become thine enemy? And the Lord hath done to him as he spake by me. For the Lord hath rent the kingdom out of thine hand, and given it to thy neighbor, even to David. Verse 18, boys and girls, he's got bad news, and it's only getting worse. Okay, he says, God left you. God's going to take the kingdom from you. God's going to give the kingdom to David. Verse 18, because thou obeyed not the voice of the Lord, nor executed his fierce wrath upon Amalek. Therefore hath the Lord done this thing unto this day. Moreover, the Lord will also deliver Israel with thee into the hand of the Philistines, and tomorrow shalt thou and thy sons be with me. What does that mean? If they're going to be with Samuel, they're going to die. The Lord also shall deliver the host of Israel into the hand of the Philistines. Wow. What a dose of bad news Saul just received. And why? Because he disobeyed. Boys and girls, so often we don't think of disobedience as that bad. But boys and girls, the Bible tells us it is. Disobedience is very bad. Disobedience, God looks very badly at, very poorly at. Disobedience is wrong. God tells us over and over and over in his word how wrong disobedience is. The punishment for Saul, boys and girls, the kingdom's going to be taken from him and his family. His family's no longer going to reign, which we did already know that. But it was going to be taken from him. It was going to be given to David. Remember the man he's been chasing for a fair share of years. Going to give it to David. The nation of Israel is going to be overtaken by the Philistines, and David and his sons are going to die in battle because he disobeyed. The Lord left him because he disobeyed. He was on his own because he disobeyed. Do you see, boys and girls, the severity of disobedience? Boys and girls, and it's not just kids who disobey their parents. Adults disobey God. Adults disobey rules and laws and bosses. Boys and girls, this is something that if you learn as a child, you learn to submit, you learn to obey, the rest of life will be easier. You don't hit 18 and flip a magical switch and all of a sudden you start obeying, boys and girls. You establish those patterns as a child. Boys and girls, I'll hope this week, as you go through this week, you'll think about the severity of disobedience. When mom asks you to come to the dinner table, get off the video game, do your homework, whatever it is mom asks you to do, or dad, or a teacher, or your Sunday school teacher, that boys and girls, you'll obey. You'll obey right away, the first time you're asked, and that you'll obey with the right attitude. Boys and girls, obedience is extremely important. God tells us that over and over and over in his word. And we can see the severity of what happened to Saul because he disobeyed. Boys and girls, throughout this week, make sure you obey and you do what's right.